Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Please like, share, subscribe to the videos. Today, we're going to talk about it's I guess you can kind of say a rant. I don't know. Maybe you could say that. I don't know. But uh, today I go to get my tube taken out. Get my feeding tube taken out. It's been in there since I think December is when I got it put in. I was using it for a while, but then I was able to eat because the tumor in my esophagus it shrank because of the chemotherapy, so I was able to eat again. And so I haven't really been using it no more for probably about 4 months, maybe 5 months. I told them a while back to take it out, but they said, "Well, just leave it in there just in case." So, we I kept the tube in, but it's kind of a you can't sleep on your stomach. I can only sleep on my right side or on my back. Can't sleep on my left side because the tube is right here. Every day I got to get up. I got to drain it or flush it out. Gauze the hole where the tube is coming out. Put gauze there because body fluid leaks out. You know it'll mess up my tank tops. So I gotta gauze it, tape it. So this everyday thing. Sometimes it smells because of the body fluid. So last week I told the doctor, I said, you know what, I want to get the tube taken out. I don't need it no more. I haven't used it in months, so why do I still have it, So she said, yeah, no problem. Tell the other doctor down the hall that put it in. Tell her that I said to take it out. So I'm gonna put a note in here. So I went today. Today I had to go take my chemo pump off, so I'm not on the chemo right now. I got took it off of it right now. I won't go on for. I'll be off the rest of this week. Next week, um, I go back. Not Monday coming up, but the following Monday. Go back again for I think number 13, the 13th session of chemotherapy. So I, I I had to go get my pump taken off. So the doctor's office at the same building. So, anyways, I go into the office and so she comes in. She's like, "So we're gonna take the tube out, right?" And I says, "Yeah, I don't need it no more." My doctor, my oncologist said, "I don't need it no more." She's like, "Okay, we'll take it out." So she explained it to me, because I'm like, "Okay, what, will you do stitch it or what?" She's like, "No, you'll just have a hole right there, but eventually it'll close." And she goes, "Just keep gauze on it, and just after a few weeks, it should close on its own." So I said, "All right." She's like, "All right, well, let me get this stuff ready. You can lay on the table, and I'll pull it out." So what it is, it's a tube. It's a tube about this long, and it has like three ports that are outside my stomach. One is a red tip. Then there's two white ones that have caps on them. You just pop the caps off. This one right here, so this one with the red tip, what it does is when they put the tube in and it's in your stomach, on the part that's inside your stomach, there's a balloon there. So the red tip, they stick a syringe in there with saline or what water, whatever they put, stick it in there, they push that shit in there, and it blows up that balloon. And what that does, it keeps it from being able to come out. You know what I mean? It's like a stopper. Then there's a plastic stopper on the outside to keep so it doesn't really move. I mean, I can move it in and out. If I move the stopper on the outside, I can push it back in further or pull it out more, but it won't come all the way out because of that balloon on the inside. So then the other one, the middle one, is where you feed. We hook it to a machine, and it pumps the fluids that I need into that one. Then the third one is for medication. If you need a medication to be pumped into you, then you do it that way. So no. So sorry, my dogs are act like they're gonna beat somebody up at the door. Um. So, anyways, like I was saying, I don't use it. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, one of the caps would pop off, or like if my dog would sit on my lap and she moved, the cap is not a screw-on cap. It's like a little plug. It'll pop open. There's a couple times where she's done that. She jumped on my lap and she's sitting there and she'll go to get down or something and she'll hit it and knock the cap off and I don't even know it came off because it's under my clothes. And then I'll just feel moisture after a few minutes and whatever's in my stomach is coming out of the tube. So it'll fuck my shirts up, So you gotta be real careful with that. But anyway, so she's like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna uh, I'll lay you down and I'm gonna stick a syringe in there and suck all the fluid out of that balloon, the stopper, so I can get it out. So I said, okay. So I said, well, she's like, so I'm gonna pull it kind of slow. So I said, all right, no problem. So she takes the syringe, sucks out the fluid out of the balloon, and she starts pulling. I can feel it. I can feel it coming out. But I kind of feel her like tug it a little bit right here, and I'm like waiting, like what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden she just yanks it, and I was like, motherfucker, like what are you doing? Like, the fuck happened? And she's like, sorry, I'm so sorry, but it got stuck. She had to pull it, and I'm like, fuck, like that was painful. She just yanked it. She had to yank it. It got stuck somewhere. I don't know if it got stuck on my stomach or it got stuck on my skin here, but she just pulled that fucker out. And so then she gave me a minute because I had to wait a minute. Like fuck, that shit hurt. Then she just stuck gauze on it and told me just leave it like that for a few weeks. Just keep changing the gauze out, and it'll eventually close on its own. If it don't, then I got to go back over there and they can suture it or whatever I have to do. But anyways, so then I leave there and I go to the other office down the hallway to get my pump taken off, the chemo pump. And there's this dude that goes there, and he was there. He was there today, and I can't stand this fucking guy. He's a fucking loudmouth. He thinks he's special. He's probably like my age, He's probably his late 40s. He's a black dude, but he just thinks he's better. He's better than everybody in there. You know what I mean? And it's like you go into this room, into this few, because I go into the back room to get my pump taken off. I got to go into the infusion room, and you go into this back room, and it's just a big room with a bunch of like lazy boy chairs in there, TVs on the wall, but it's quiet in there. You go in there and I mean it's just be to be honest, you go in the room and it's a bunch of people. They're dying. You know what I mean? They're sucked up. Their faces are sucked up, bald. Some of them look normal, like me. I look pretty normal. Some of them are just they look like skeletons. They're laying in these chairs. They're balled up in the chairs, covered up. They're cold. They have all these tubes. All of them, everybody, all of us. When we go in there, we have these tubes. I have my shit hooked up here. Some people have it hooked up into their arms. But it's like a quiet place. You don't go in there and make all kinds of noise and shit. The TVs are low. A lot of other people are sitting there with their headphones on. They're listening to music or they're listening to something on their phone. That's what I usually do. Some people go in there and they put like the blindfold cover things to sleep. They put that on their eyes and they'll fall asleep. But there's people in there in pain and shit like that. And so, like I said, it's a room full of people dying. That's just what it is. You have cancer, your body's killing you. You're dying, and at the same time, they're trying to save your life. You got all these older people, especially the older people that are in there, like in their 70s and 80s, and like they're still holding on. They don't want to die. They're in there going through all the shit that everybody else is going through, all the pain and everything. They don't want to die. Then you got guys in there that are like 18 years old because it's like 18 and over. The younger kids don't go there. So You had like an 18-year-olds there, and the young people in there going through the same shit. You know what I mean? But we're all going through it. You know what I mean? And this motherfucker, he's a fucking big mouth. The first time the first time I ran into him, I was sitting there in the infusion room getting chemotherapy. He comes in, they hook him up, and he's like I said, it's quiet in there. People are sick. People go through chemotherapy. People are getting blood transfusions. All kinds of shit's going on in that room. You know what I mean? It's a place to be quiet. This motherfucker's on his phone with a speaker on, talking all this bullshit, loud. I'm just sitting there, just like across from him, just looking at him like, "Fuck, do you think you are?" You know what I mean? Like, you don't give a you don't care that these other people. He's going through the same shit. You know what I mean? So you don't have no. There's no courtesy. You know what I mean? It's like you're just talking out loud. Whoever's talking, he's talking out loud on the fucking phone. You shouldn't even have your shit on speakerphone. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're in a quiet room where people are going through chemotherapy and shit, and this dude's in there being all fucking loud on the phone. And it wasn't for like a couple minutes. He's on the phone for like fucking 30 minutes, having a whole ass conversation with somebody. Everybody's listening to this whole conversation. He's being loud as fuck. And you can see the nurse pop their heads out the door, like looking at this dude, like, the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? And I'm getting annoyed. The more that I hear his conversation, the more pissed off I'm getting. It's taking a lot for me not to fucking say something to the dude. So I just turn on my headphones. I just try not to even hear this motherfucker. The next time I see him, because what happens when you go there, you go to the front desk, you check in, you go, they'll call you like 10 minutes later. They'll call you, they weigh you, take you in the back room, they do your vitals, and then they tell they call the pharmacy across the way down the street at the hospital. They call him, hey, so and so's here. We need his medication now. He's here. Okay, so then they'll come. So I go in, then a couple minutes later he comes in, then somebody else starts. They'll all start coming in every couple of minutes. Somebody will come in. They're calling us one by one, so we can all sit down, start doing the vitals and all that shit like that. So I go in first, then he comes in, then somebody else comes in, somebody else comes in, and then he has a bag with him of Taco Bell. He tells the nurse, "Hey, can you warm this up for me? Can you put it in the microwave and warm it up for me?" And she's like, "Yeah." But give us a minute because we got to get everybody's vitals. We got to get everything going for everybody real quick. And then when we're done, I'll warm it up for you. He don't say nothing. He's just like whatever. So they're doing vitals on people, and then another nurse comes by him, and he's like, "Hey, can you go put this in the microwave and warm it up for me?" And she's like, "Yeah, just give us a minute. We need to get everybody situated." So she walks away. He don't say nothing. A couple minutes later, he asks another one. And I'm just sitting there like looking at this dude like, what a fucking asshole. Like fuck everybody else. He got his vitals done. He wants his fucking food right now. You know what I mean? He don't give a fuck about nobody else. So he has another nurse. So she gets his food and she goes and warms it. Well, I guess when she comes back, that one of the other nurses that he already asked sees her coming back with the food, and she goes and tells the other chick like, "Hey, we got to get all this people situated before we do anything like that." She's like, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry." She gets to do his food, and then that nurse goes over there and says, "Hey, check it out. We already told you. A couple of us already told you that we'd help you, but we got to get everybody situated before we do any of that stuff. Everybody has to have their vitals done and hook them to the machines and all that stuff like that. Then we can take care of that for you." And he's like, "Well, I'm hungry and I don't want to eat cold food." And she's like, "I understand, but you have to give us some time." Well, like I said, I'm hungry. I ain't eating no cold food. And I'm like, again, I'm sitting there like, fuck, man, this fucking guy. So then another time, a couple weeks later, I go just to see the nurse. I'm not there to get chemotherapy or none of that stuff that day. I'm just there to see the nurse real quick to make sure that they have my medication for when I do go get chemotherapy the next day. I mean, the next week. So I go to see the nurse, the head nurse there, and I'm in her office, and she's calling to the pharmacist down the street to find out if my medication is there. Well, who's there? The fucking big mouth. He had, because when I checked in before him. He comes in, checks in the front. He sits down, then he gets up and he tells the secretary, "Hey, can you call in the back to the nurse? Let them know that I'm here to order my medication right now. That way, when they call me back, excuse me, when they call me back there, I ain't got to be waiting. I don't want to be wasting my time." She's like, "I'll call right now." But I knew she wasn't gonna do it. I knew she was like the way she looked. She's like, "Yeah, like fuck you." You know what I mean? I'm gonna call back there. You're not special. You know what I mean? Like everybody's gotta wait. Because what happens when you go back there, they do your vitals. They make sure that you showed up for your appointment. They do your vitals. Then, when they're done doing the vitals, they'll go to the back room. They'll call down the street to the pharmacy. Say, "Hey, so and so's here. Bring the medicine over here," because they don't want to be transporting chemotherapy medication back and forth. What if you don't show up? Then they gotta send it back over there. You know what I mean? So they don't want to be doing all that. They want to make sure that you're sitting there. You did your vitals. You're ready to go. So that's the way it works for everybody. But this motherfucker, he's special. He's special. He's a big mouth. You know, he wants things done when he wants it done. So he tells them, "Hey, can you tell them to call right now? Let them know I'm over here in the front. I'm in the waiting room. Order my medication right now. So I get back there, I get hooked up, I can get out of here." She's like, "Yeah, okay." So I go back in the back. I'm talking to the nurse in the office. He comes back there, I guess. Well, I didn't see him go back there. I just heard him a few minutes later. And he's, again, loud as fucking there. "Hey, why am I sitting here waiting?" And she's like, "We're waiting for your medication to come." "Well, I already told the girl in the front to tell you guys that I was here, so I didn't have to go through all this. I don't want to be sitting here waiting. You're wasting my time." And she's like, "We can't do that. You have to be back here. We have to like, physically see you so we can tell them to bring the medication over here." "No, no, no. I told her to tell you I'm here. She knew I was here. She saw me. I was in the front. It doesn't matter. We need to see you. She's just a secretary. The nurses have to see you, not the secretary. That's the way it works." And then all of a sudden he's like, "Who do you think you're getting loud with?" Okay, now these are all women. You know what I mean? So who the fuck you think you're getting loud with? You don't talk to me like that. I ain't afraid of none of you. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And I'm sitting in the nurse's the nurse's office, and she's like, "What the hell's going on out there?" So she gets up. She's like, "Sorry, Mike." She goes outside. She's like, "Is everything okay?" And the other nurse that he's yelling at, because he's yelling at her in that room with all these sick people. She's like explaining to her what's going on. And so the other nurse, the main nurse, is like, "Hey, that's not the way it works." "Well, if I tell you guys I'm here, you guys should be ordering medication. You guys know I'm here." The girl, she said, "That's not her job. So you have to wait until we get you back here and physically see you and do your vitals and weigh you and all that stuff. We can't just do what you want to do. That's not the way it goes." "Well, you guys are wasting my time and blah 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 this and that." And I'm just thinking to myself like, "Fuck, man! Like, I want to go over there and yank these motherfucking his fucking cords out of him. You know what I mean? Like, fuck this dude. You know." Who does he think he is? Like he's better than everybody else here? You got people sick right here. People are fucking dying in here, and your ass is over here making a fucking scene in this room. Instead of if you got something to say, the nurse's office is right there. You can go in there and close the door and talk to the nurse, whatever you gotta say. You know what I mean? But the girl, like they take the girl to the hallway, the main nurse, and she's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "I'm tired of this guy. He does this all the time. He talks to us like this all the time. He's demanding. He tells us what he wants done. We do things the way they're supposed to be by the procedures, you know. But he doesn't like it, and he wants to do it when he wants us to do it." And she goes, "And I'm sick and tired of dealing with this guy. Why are we still dealing with him? You know, like they don't even want the motherfucker there no more. You know, and he's sick like the rest of us, but he's a big mouth. You know, and so it's like so anyway, that's why I saw him today. He wasn't acting up today, but you know, it just reminded me, you know, the times that he does. You know, he goes in there, he expects them to do whatever the fuck he wants, and that he's better than everybody else in there, and hook me up first and go warm up my food for me. It's like, and I know that one of these days, one of these days I'm gonna end up fucking saying something to that dude. You know what I mean? And get into it with him over there because we're all sick. You know what I mean? And he has no respect for nobody else. He only thinks about himself. And I think like fuck, man. So I hope when I go there, I don't run into the dude like when I'm there. Because I don't see him every time there. Sometimes we just catch each other. We're the same day, but I think to myself that man, I hope this motherfucker ain't here today, man, because I don't know. It could be a bad day for me. You know what I mean? And he's gonna act up, and I guess I'd look pretty fucking foolish, socking this dude up inside of a infusion room for people with cancer. You know what I mean? But I mean, the motherfucker deserves it. But anyways, that was just a little story I wanted to tell you about this fucking idiot that I have to deal with sometimes at the chemotherapy. Anyways, please like, share, and subscribe to the videos, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys all for following, and I'll be talking to you guys later.